In the snow, a boy is hurt and bleeding, and he's surprised by the pain of dying. Suddenly, a girl appears and assures him that he'll be fine. She tells him it's not his time to die and wishes him luck before he passes out. Nasa Yuzaki was born to enthusiastic parents who named him after the starry sky when he was little, because NASA was the American Space Agency's name. He faced teasing, which motivated him to outshine NASA. Starting at a young age, he began training. In middle school, he openly expressed his aspiration to attend a top-notch and exclusive high school. When he talks to his teacher, she advises him to consider alternative schools as backups, but he's determined to aim for the best and believes he will succeed. She warns him not to become complacent and to maintain good grades. That night, he becomes less cautious and spots a charming girl enjoying coffee in the snow.
She was just really cute!
Filled with confidence, he calls out to her and crosses the street without checking for oncoming traffic. Unfortunately, he gets hit by a truck. The girl rushes to his side and he is surprised to see that the girl who caught his attention is also bleeding. The driver of the truck arrives, and the girl requests him to take NASA to the hospital. The driver is astonished to see the girl unharmed because she seemingly shielded NASA by stepping in front of him and absorbing most of the impact herself. As NASA loses consciousness, the girl walks away. The truck driver calls for help, but despite being badly hurt, NASA is determined to find the girl. The truck driver is confused, but NASA insists that he must meet her because she is incredibly cute. He quickly runs into the night, trying to catch up to her. Eventually, he finds her waiting at a bus stop. She is surprised to see him walking with his injuries, but he introduces himself desperately. She kindly lets him sit beside her, cleans the blood off his face, and lends him her coat. She informs him that she will call an ambulance as his injuries are severe and he may lose consciousness soon. Despite falling to the ground, he remains determined to talk to her because she reminds him of the story of Princess Kagu, a woman adored by many but had to leave to her lunar homeland. Realizing that they might never meet again, he expresses his desire to fight for a chance with her and confesses his love, wanting to date her. In response, she explains that they can only be together if they are married. Without hesitation,
Of course, let's do it!
he agrees before succumbing to unconsciousness for the last time. After waking up in the hospital, he finds himself confined to a wheelchair, needing time to regain his strength. However, the fact that he doesn't know the girl's name and never sees her again greatly demoralizes him. Despite achieving excellent scores, he decides against attending any of the prestigious schools. Instead, he takes on service jobs in the hope of encountering her once more. Unfortunately, as time passes, his efforts prove fruitless and he fails to reunite with her. On his 18th birthday, a girl named Tsukasa unexpectedly came to his house. Although they didn't know each other well,
Hello, husband.
he was amazed by how cute she was. To his surprise, she brought a marriage registration form, fulfilling their previous agreement. Despite having concerns about it possibly being a scam, he still decided to sign it. After their marriage, they formally introduced themselves, and NASA felt confident in his ability to judge people's character. While they were on their way to the marriage office, he realized that Tsukasa never mocked his name. She shared with him that NASA, a large group of scientists and engineers, collaborated to make humanity's dream of traveling to the moon a reality. As a result, she found his name to be wonderful and didn't find it funny at all. At the office, the man was taken aback when he saw a young couple, but he approved their registration and gave them a tree as a gift. After leaving the office, the man was still amazed that he had married such a beautiful girl. However, it suddenly dawned on him that now that they were married, they would be living together in the same apartment. Feeling unprepared mentally to share his living space with someone else, he also realized that his bed was too small for even one person. The thought of sleeping together in the same bed made him feel embarrassed. He tries to figure out the average size of a man and a woman and realizes that even if they squeeze together, the bed would still be too small. However, since it's late, he can't immediately get a new bed. He starts contemplating different positions that could accommodate both of them on the bed, feeling embarrassed about the situation. Suddenly, Tsukasa overhears his thoughts. She shows him his luggage and kindly makes him more coffee. During their conversation, she reveals that she has no home to return to anymore. This shocks him, and she further surprises him by saying that she had originally planned to stay at his place every night from now on, as they were now married. Due to the small size of the bed, she had initially planned to spend the night at a hotel instead. This made him feel sad, but she managed to cheer him up by reminding him that she is his wife, assuring him that she would return in the morning. Sitting on the floor, NASA ponders why Tsukasa would want to marry him and reflects on their peculiar first encounter. Curious, he asks her why she agreed to the marriage, considering their limited knowledge of each other. In response, she poses the same question to him, and he expresses his love for her. Tsukasa reciprocates, stating that she wouldn't marry someone she didn't love. She decides to leave the apartment for the night, But before she can go too far, Nasa rushes to her and insists that she stay. He promises to do everything possible, even in the late hour, to find another bed. Deep down, he senses that if she leaves, there's a possibility she may never return. Tsukasa agrees, and together they search for extra mattresses and futons. Tsukasa is taken aback by Nasa's unexpectedly extensive knowledge about various types of futons and their craftsmanship. He reveals that he possesses a near-perfect memory, surprising her even more. Acting on impulse, he takes her hand, and they continue shopping while holding hands. When they return to the apartment, Tsukasa discovers that the futon is surprisingly comfortable. Despite feeling embarrassed about having a girl sleep in his room, Nasa finds her irresistibly adorable. As Tsukasa searches for a bathroom in the apartment and comes up empty, Nasa shares that he typically visits the local bathhouse in the morning. During their conversation, she mentions the absence of guest necessities like an extra toothbrush. They head out once again to purchase Tsukasa's nightwear and other essential sleeping supplies. While she changes into her sleepwear, Nasa patiently waits, and once he finishes changing, he notices that she has styled her hair, which he finds incredibly adorable. That night, Nasa finds it difficult to fall asleep as he gazes at Tsukasa, who sweetly wishes him a good night.
Good night, my darling, and sweet dreams.
Her cute sleeping noises keep him awake, and he observes her restlessness as she rolls off the futon. Concerned about her getting cold, Nasa gently tucks her back in. He briefly contemplates giving her a goodnight kiss, but he realizes that their first kiss would be meaningless if she's asleep. So, he decides to go back to his own bed. Suddenly, Tsukasa gets up, and he hears her drinking water before she sleepwalks back into their room, inadvertently taking his blanket. Despite the cold, he manages to drift off to sleep. In the morning, he watches as Tsukasa awakens, appearing confused about what might happen the last night. As Tsukasa begins to change, Nasa quickly interrupts her and respectfully retreats to another room to give her privacy. Tsukasa mentions that he used a somewhat formal tone when addressing her, considering they are a married couple. They both agree to adopt more informal and affectionate pet names, although they feel a little shy about it. Tsukasa takes the initiative to prepare breakfast, and Nasa can't help but find her absolutely adorable in an apron. To his surprise, he discovers that his refrigerator is well organized and stocked with food. It astonishes him that Tsukasa didn't expect him to cook, but Nasa reveals that he has conducted extensive research on nutrition and has been relying on hot pot meals for their nutritional value and efficiency. Tsukasa playfully teases him, claiming that cooking isn't just about science. However, she impresses him by preparing a delicious meal that surpasses his basic hot pot dishes. It becomes evident that Tsukasa is an exceptional cook and can create almost any dish with the right ingredients. Curious about the bathhouse, Tsukasa inquires about it, and they make plans to visit. Meanwhile, Nasa harbors a secret desire to catch a glimpse of Tsukasa while she bathes. Recognizing his limited bathing supplies of just soap and shampoo, they head to the store to purchase moisturizer and toner. To his surprise, Nasa is astounded by the wide array of bathing products available. Once they reach the bathhouse, they are warmly welcomed by Kaname, an employee. Kaname is taken aback to see Nasa accompanied by a girl since she had assumed he had no interest in girls and was solely focused on his studies. Nasa introduces Kaname, a middle school student whose family operates the bathhouse. Kaname notices their close behavior and asks if they are dating, but she is taken aback when they reveal that they are actually married. As a wedding gift, Kaname allows them to bathe for free on that day. However, once Tsukasa has entered the bath, Kaname stops Nasa and demands an explanation as a condition for the complimentary service. She expresses her astonishment at discovering his marital status, as she had believed he would remain single until the age of 30, at which point he would become an old geezer. In her surprise, she punches him, attracting the attention of onlookers. Kaname questions whether he has informed Aya about his marriage, and he admits that he has not, prompting her to call him an idiot. She also inquires if they have held a ceremony to celebrate their marriage and criticizes him for prioritizing efficiency over important traditions. Nasa finds Kaname surprisingly mature for a middle schooler, and her words inspire him to give his best for his wife. While he passionately declares his love for Tsukasa, she accidentally overhears him and feels a bit embarrassed by his loud declaration of love in the street. While taking a bath, Nasa's thoughts are consumed by his wife, but Kaname suddenly enters the bath and playfully teases him for his small stature.
Your height, of course, dummy. Obviously, that's what I'm referring to.
Meanwhile, Tsukasa also takes a bath and encounters Aya, the elder daughter of the bathhouse-owning family, who has unintentionally fallen asleep in the bathhouse. Aya repeatedly apologizes for intruding on Tsukasa and asks if he would allow her to wash her back as a gesture of apology. Initially hesitant, Tsukasa eventually relents as Aya insists that her family has a long-standing tradition of backwashing and takes great pride in their skill. Aya compliments Tsukasa's soft skin, likening it to silk, and makes a playful comparison to the iPhone X, only to immediately apologize for the lighthearted remark about his skin. After their introduction, Tsukasa and Aya discover that Tsukasa now shares Nasa's last name. This leads Aya to believe that she is Nasa's younger sister. Meanwhile, Nasa, who has finished cleaning, finds himself unable to stop daydreaming about the night he first met Tsukasa. Eventually, Tsukasa wakes him up by bringing him a coffee. Just before they leave, Aya asks Nasa if she is part of his family. Misinterpreting her question, Nasa mistakenly replies that she is his family, unaware of Aya's assumption that they are siblings. Aya then reveals that she is familiar with Nasa because in the past, when the bathhouse faced challenging times after her grandfather's passing and her father's departure with an idol, Nasa's skills and efficiency played a crucial role in turning the bathhouse's financial situation around. On their way home, Tsukasa asks Nasa about his opinion of Aya's attractiveness. Nasa expresses how he finds Aya not only cute but also believes she has become even more adorable over the years since their time in middle school together. As Tsukasa begins to feel a tinge of jealousy, Nasa misinterprets her change in mood, assuming it is due to her disappointment about the absence of a wedding ceremony. They happen to pass by a wedding ceremony, as Nasa believes Tsukasa desires a grand wedding with a beautiful dress. In reality, Tsukasa only wanted to hear a compliment from Nasa. He sprints home while she's puzzled, and he's committed to turning the impossible into possible to bring her joy. When Nasa departs, Tsukasa returns to their apartment and reminisces about the past. She experiences a sense of loneliness as there is no one to welcome her, and she feels disappointed that Nasa left her after their visit to the bathhouse. Wondering about his return, she resolves to clean the apartment to make him proud. However, she discovers that the apartment is already clean and doesn't require much cleaning. Additionally, she has concerns about stumbling upon his hidden gems. As an alternative, she decides to cook a delicious meal for Nasa's homecoming. As Tsukasa hears the doorbell, she is surprised to find a girl named Chitos standing outside. Chitos mocks the crappy state of the apartment, leading Tsukasa to abruptly close the door on her. Chitos has come to pick up Tsukasa and take her to a better place, expressing regret for her earlier teasing. Tsukasa used to reside with Chitos and her family but left abruptly, prompting Chitos to search for her. However, Chitos becomes overly familiar, and Tsukasa firmly instructs her to go home and inform her grandmother, Kiko, that she is now married. Tsukasa then returns to the apartment, while Chitos feels sorrowful upon learning about Tsukasa's marriage and sheds tears on the steps of the apartment. Nasa notices Chitos crying and offers her comfort. Chitos confides in him about a family member who has run away and refuses to come back. Nasa feels a strong desire to assist in some way as Chitos describes this family member as a free-spirited glass butterfly. Their conversation progresses, and Chitos eventually realizes that Nasa is, in fact, Tsukasa's husband. When Tsukasa joins them, Chitos becomes furious, but Nasa introduces himself, which appears to calm Chitos to some extent, although she still holds the belief that Tsukasa should not be married to him. Nasa utilizes his persuasive speaking skills to try and defuse the situation, but Chitos remains unimpressed and calls upon her bodyguards, who proceed to abduct him. Chitos interrogates Nasa, suspecting him to be a fraud or scam artist. They take him to Chitos' grand mansion, where she reveals her plan to spread rumors of disloyalty in order to cause a divorce between Nasa and Tsukasa. Chitos summons her maid, Charlotte, and instructs her to obtain explicit photos of Nasa. As Charlotte starts to undress, Chitos intervenes and realizes that they don't need to resort to extreme measures. Their only goal is to make Tsubasa hate him. However, during their conversation, Nasa manages to escape unnoticed. While exploring the mansion, Nasa comes across a room where he notices a rock on display. Its shape and composition bear a striking resemblance to the moon, leading him to believe that it could be a genuine moon rock. He wonders how the family acquired such a valuable artifact, as moon rocks are typically found in museums due to their significance from the moon landing. Just as he ponders this, Charlotte enters the room with a sword, mistaking him for a trespasser and threatening him. In her haste, she accidentally strikes the display, nearly causing it to break. Fortunately, Nasa quickly steps in and fixes the damaged container. Chitos accidentally reveals that the rock is actually a gift from Tsukasa to her family, and she is surprised by Nasa's lack of knowledge about his wife's past. This revelation shocks Nasa, and Chitos recalls a childhood incident where Tsukasa saved her during a climbing excursion. Chitose becomes angry because she believes she should be the one married to Tsukasa. Meanwhile, the maids carry out their plan, and Charlotte hugs Nasa as part of their scheme. Aurora skillfully photoshops Nasa's face into a picture to make it appear as though he is cheating on Tsukasa. They are astonished by the realistic result of the manipulated photo. Tsukasa arrives and is displeased to see the photo, easily spotting the Photoshop manipulation. Chitose demands that Tsukasa divorces Nasa. Tsukasa then summons Nasa for a private conversation, but it turns out she was actually helping him escape the situation. He apologizes for the photo, but Tsukasa isn't truly angry since she recognizes it's a Photoshop. She shows him a hidden passage in the mansion to escape from Chitose and the maids. Nasa is confused about Tsukasa's past, but he believes it doesn't matter. As long as they are married, he feels everything will be alright. They find an old church through the secret passage, and Tsukasa shares that both the mansion and the church were constructed during the Meiji Restoration. Tsukasa is overjoyed to show Nasa the church, and in that moment, Nasa expresses his love for her once more, formally proposing to her. Their love culminates in a heartfelt kiss, sealing their bond. Back at home, Tsukasa is eager to watch a movie called Space Gisnado, which is about sharks in space. However, she is shocked to discover that Nasa doesn't own a TV. It dawns on her that he knows very little about movies and television, and she becomes curious about how he has spent his life. Tsukasa, being passionate about movies and television, wants to share her hobby with him, hoping they can both find excitement in films. She requests that he catch up on movies, acknowledging that there are countless films and shows to explore, but she simply asks him to watch as many as he can. He is taken aback by Tsukasa's immense passion for movies, especially considering her typically laid-back nature. They decide to go shopping for a TV, and Nasa feels overwhelmed by the numerous options available. Tsukasa advises him to purchase a budget-friendly TV, as she will be content regardless of the television's quality. Later, at the bathhouse, Kane is surprised to learn that Nasa has proposed to Tsukasa. Kane praises him for taking this important step and inquires about wedding rings. Tsukasa is shocked to realize that Nasa hadn't even thought about wedding rings, and she criticizes him for neglecting to take her on trips, to restaurants, or buying her any presents. While waiting for Tsukasa to finish her bath, Nasa considers the cost of wedding rings and worries about their affordability for Tsukasa. On their way home, he informs her about his work commitments for the day, and they make a stop at a park. They quietly appreciate the park's surroundings, but Nasa wonders if they should engage in activities other than silently observing the lake. He also wonders if Tsukasa is concerned about his work, and, in the moment, they share a kiss. Unbeknownst to them, the maids spy on their public display of affection and are shocked. The couple feels embarrassed, even though they believe they were alone. After leaving the park, Nasa shares his concern about Tsukasa leaving before he finishes work. Tsukasa assures him that there's no need to worry. While working, Nasa wonders if Tsukasa feels lonely and realizes that wedding rings serve as a reminder for couples. He recalls taking numerous service jobs in his quest to find Tsukasa after their initial encounter and remembers feeling sad for a considerable period. After returning home, Tsukasa has prepared dinner for them. While they eat, Nasa suggests getting engagement rings, which surprises Tsukasa. She doesn't believe they need an engagement ring since they are already married. She realizes that Nasa is confused about the distinction between engagement and wedding rings. She explains that engagement rings are typically expensive and showy, used for celebratory occasions, while wedding rings are simpler and customized to symbolize the couple's union. Tsukasa finds the idea of wedding rings romantic but not practical due to their expensive nature. However, Nasa insists on having wedding rings as a symbol of their love. Tsukasa believes that Nasa underestimates the true cost of diamonds. The next day, she takes him to a diamond shop where he is shocked to see the high prices of wedding rings. The saleswoman explains that their shop sells only the highest quality diamonds and that cheap jewelry would not satisfy any couple. Nasa contemplates purchasing the rings, even if it means spending all his money, as he sees it as a once-in-a-lifetime purchase. However, Tsukasa steps in and they manage to escape the store. Nasa really wants to buy the rings, but Tsukasa insists they find something more affordable. They go to a store with lower quality options, and although the prices are lower, they are still expensive. Later, Nasa confesses that he wants to buy a ring as a way to remember each other if they ever separate. Tsukasa is touched by his sentiment and agrees to return to the low-quality store to purchase the cheapest rings available. Nasa wonders if a cheap ring is acceptable, but Tsukasa reassures him that the cost of the rings doesn't matter as much as the memory of buying them together. She assures him that she will never forget the moment he bought the wedding ring for her. Over the past few nights, Nasa has noticed Tsukasa's nightly routine of sleepwalking, clumsily moving around, getting water, and then falling asleep in various places. One night, she accidentally crawls into his bed, and despite feeling embarrassed, Nasa can't help but embrace her.
Oh my god,
To his surprise, she wakes up and kisses him before falling asleep on the floor again due to her sleep habits. As a result, Nasa often has trouble sleeping well. Realizing that the situation cannot continue, he decides that his wife shouldn't keep sleeping on the floor. He decides that they need a bigger bed, but their current apartment doesn't have enough space. This leads him to consider moving to a larger apartment with a living room and a bigger TV. Excited by the possibilities, he asks Tsukasa if she's interested in moving. However, she is content with their small place because it brings them closer together. At the bathhouse, Kaname is surprised to hear about the idea of moving and learns that Tsukasa sleeps on the floor. Nasa tells Kaname that Tsukasa is happy with the current arrangement, but Kaname also mentions that she would be angry if her future husband kept them in an apartment without a bath. Later that night, Nasa accidentally walks in on Tsukasa while she is changing, causing both of them to feel embarrassed. In their embarrassment, Nasa proposes that they move to a larger place to prevent such incidents from happening again. She is worried about the expenses, but Nasa suggests that if they move to a bigger place, they can buy a movie projector for her to watch more films. He also mentions getting a bookshelf for her movie collection. As they consider finding a new place, they realize they need someone to act as a guarantor. It suddenly occurs to Nasa that he hasn't informed his parents about their marriage. He calls his mother, tells her briefly that he's married, and then ends the call. Later, Nasa shares with Tsukasa that he informed his parents about the accident and how she saved him. They decide that it's a good opportunity for Tsukasa to meet Nasa's parents since they need their help with the apartment. Nasa feels a bit anxious about the meeting, and suddenly he receives texts from his mother who assumes he is reaching out to them for assistance. His parents make it a condition that the couple visit them in their prefecture. Nasa thinks it could be a nice opportunity for a honeymoon during the visit. Tsukasa overhears him and suggests buying a camera to create a picture diary of their new life together. They start by taking a few photos of Tsukasa by the lake, and Nasa discovers that he really enjoys photography. The next day, they go on a trip to Kyoto and capture moments with their camera. Tsukasa is thrilled to meet Nasa's parents, while Chitos and her maids secretly spy on them and wonder why they chose to travel by bus instead of a high-speed train. They decide to follow the couple in a car. Tsukasa sleeps peacefully on the bus, but Nasa finds the seats uncomfortable. Despite this, he puts on a happy facade for Tsukasa's sake. While resting, Chitos and her maids continue to observe them, and Chitos, driven by jealousy, declares her determination to separate them no matter what. Chitos and her maids become angry when they witness how close Nasa and Tsukasa have become. Chitos bets that their honeymoon vacation will bring disaster, as such trips often do for couples. Nasa forgets his wallet, but they don't argue about it, much to Chitos' disappointment. The couple has a great time at a food court, but Tsukasa wants to try something unique instead of a chain restaurant. She takes Nasa to a place that serves ramen with lime. Tsukasa is excited about this unusual combination, but both she and Nasa find the taste to be ordinary. Nasa suggests eating the lime directly, but it turns out to be too sour for Tsukasa. After Tsukasa feels embarrassed, Nasa suggests they find some dessert, and they make up over some melon bread. Chitos becomes angry when she realizes that the couple has not divorced. She confronts Tsukasa directly, but Tsukasa tries to assure her that she is just a normal teenager. Suddenly, a news crew shows up, and the couple quickly moves away to avoid being on camera. Chitos also manages to escape on the bus. Tsukasa admits that Chitos is probably following them. Meanwhile, Chitos and her maids, who have a fancy car, decide to stop at a rest area and continue enjoying their ramen. The couple arrives in Kyoto, and Nasa is excited to explore the city with Tsukasa. Tsukasa, on the other hand, is eager to visit Kyoto's bakeries, much to Nasa's dismay. He wants them to explore unique places in Kyoto that can't be found anywhere else. Nasa mentions the abundance of unique shrines and temples in Kyoto, but Tsukasa isn't initially interested in historical sites. However, she decides to go along with him. After trying on a kimono, they are once again confronted by Chitos and her maids in disguise. Nasa asks the maids to take Tsukasa around Kyoto while he deals with Chitos. Chitos then announces that she will act as a fake girlfriend to test whether he is worthy of Tsukasa. Determined, Nasa goes all out, embarrassing Chitos in the process. Meantime, at a cafe, the maids interrogate Tsukasa about Nasa, and she admits that she finds her husband very cute and appreciates how he treats people kindly. Nasa reveals his plan to explore Kyoto based on his research and takes Chitos to a famous dango shop. Chitos demands to know why he loves Tsukasa, and Nasa starts talking about how adorable Tsukasa can be, which upsets Chitos as she believes she knows Tsukasa better than him. Nasa also shares with Chitos how Tsukasa saved him from a truck 2 years ago, and ever since then, he has felt destined to be with her. He emphasizes that love is a continuous challenge, and even though Chitos has known Tsukasa longer, he will prove his worthiness through actions for the rest of his life. Later, Nasa tells Tsukasa that Chitos decided to return to Tokyo after hearing his heartfelt words. As the couple finally arrives in Nara to meet Nasa's parents, he shares that despite being born and raised in Tokyo, his eccentric parents chose to move to Nara to pursue their interests in archaeology and interact with the authentic deer. Nasa expresses his desire to introduce Tsukasa as the most adorable girl in the universe, but Tsukasa insists that he refrains from doing so. Both of them feel nervous and attempt to cheer each other up, but they soon discover Nasa's mother, Kanoka, spying on them. Nervously, Kanoka introduces herself, but mispronounces her own name and reveals that Nasa's father, Anishi, has been so nervous that he hasn't moved all day. Nasa feels embarrassed by his parents' shocked reaction to the news of his marriage. Suddenly, his father Anishi insists that Nasa takes a bath, leading to a small disagreement. However, Tsukasa encourages Nasa to go ahead and leaves to have a conversation with his parents alone. After Nasa finishes his bath, Tsukasa informs him that they had a productive discussion but wishes to keep the details between them.
Not telling.
Later, as they explore Nasa's old room, his mother Kanoka brings up the fact that their bedroom will be next to his parents and the walls are not soundproof. This indication makes Nasa both concerned and excited. That night, Nasa asks Tsukasa to sleep on his arm, enjoying their closeness. However, his arm falls asleep, causing discomfort. Before they fall asleep, Nasa requests a goodnight kiss, and they share a kiss. The next morning, Tsukasa surprises Anishi by calling him father-in-law and informs him that Nasa is still asleep. Anishi is taken aback and unsure of how to respond. Tsukasa tries to initiate small talk, and they visit Anishi's library. Anishi is pleasantly surprised to discover Tsukasa's ability to read old documents, which astonishes Nasa as he had no idea Tsukasa had an interest in antiquities. Later, Tsukasa suggests a fun plan to make their time in Nara enjoyable, taking pictures of Nasa at old shrines, even though she isn't particularly fond of such places. They visit Nara's great Buddha statue, and Tsukasa playfully captures numerous embarrassing pictures of Nasa. As they continue exploring other historical buildings, Nasa is pleasantly surprised to discover Tsukasa's impressive knowledge about them. When asked about it, Tsukasa casually attributes it to her good memory. To capture a special moment, they take a sweet selfie together. Later, Nasa takes Tsukasa to Hijo Castle, which is empty because all the buildings were relocated to Kyoto. Tsukasa feels a sense of sadness as there is little evidence remaining of the people who once lived there. To preserve their own memories, she insists on capturing videos of themselves. Tsukasa shares her heartfelt conversation with Nasa's father from the previous night. Anishi expressed deep gratitude to her for saving Nasa's life and acknowledged that he and his quirky parents could never fully repay the debt they owe her. He humbly asks Tsukasa if she would continue to take care of Nasa and watch over him, to which she wholeheartedly promises to do everything within her power to fulfill that responsibility. As they prepared to depart, Tsukasa left humorous pictures of Nasa for his parents. Despite the rushed nature of their trip, the couple cherished their time together. However, upon their return to Tokyo, they received devastating news: their apartment had been destroyed in a fire. While Nasa lost everything, Tsukasa had fortunately kept all her belongings in her suitcase. The bonsai tree from their marriage was the only item that survived. Nasa had taken precautions, having prepared for such accidents by obtaining insurance, storing valuables in a safety deposit box, and keeping important information securely stored in the cloud. Tsukasa playfully confesses her love to Nasa,
I love you.
which flusters him. While Nasa is relaxing at the bathhouse, Kaname teases him about his size. Since it will take time to find a new place, Kaname offers to let Nasa and Tsukasa stay at the bathhouse temporarily. Tsukasa admires Nasa's kindness and his willingness to accept help from others. They are excited about their temporary home, but Kaname is concerned about her sister Aya, who has a crush on Nasa. Aya, who still mistakenly believes that Nasa and Tsukasa are siblings, tries to assure everyone that she will be fine with Nasa under the same roof. However, she fails to notice Nasa's wedding ring. When Nasa reveals that he went to Nara to introduce Tsukasa to his parents, Aya almost connects the dots but fails again. It's only when her mother arrives and directly tells her that Nasa is now married that Aya realizes the truth, which devastates her since she has had a crush on Nasa since childhood. Aya's mother tries to console her and reminds her that nothing compares to the pain she experienced when her own husband left her. Nasa feels guilty about the situation, but Kaname uplifts his spirits by suggesting that Aya's failure was due to her lack of bravery. This boosts Aya's confidence, and she encourages Nasa to take care of his wife while she pursues her dream as a streamer. After a few days, Tsukasa informs Nasa that they are running out of clean clothes. When he offers to take them to the laundry, Tsukasa becomes embarrassed and admits that she would feel uncomfortable if he handled her underwear. They go through their dirty clothes from the trip, and a flustered Nasa attempts and fails to do basic housework. As he sniffs the dirty laundry, Kanem catches him in the act, and she eagerly anticipates witnessing more of his embarrassing moments in the future. Nasa and Tsukasa visit the laundromat, where she patiently instructs him on the correct way to clean clothes, as Nasa tends to be less diligent in doing his laundry properly. Feeling embarrassed, Tsukasa confesses that she has run out of clean clothes and is only wearing her tracksuit with nothing else underneath, which surprises Nasa. Not wanting to miss such a rare opportunity, Nasa seizes the moment and captures a picture of her in that state. Kanem insists that Nasa takes Tsukasa shopping to ensure she has enough clothes, warning that if he fails, their relationship will go back to being that of friendly roommates. Tsukasa initially doesn't see the need for shopping, but Nasa reminds her that many of their clothes were lost in the fire. Deep down, Nasa also harbors a secret desire to see Tsukasa in various outfits. They visit Harajuku, where Tsukasa tries on different outfits. Nasa finds one of the outfits very cute but a bit too revealing for his taste. He assists her in selecting another outfit and even helps her choose underwear, although he feels embarrassed in the underwear section. Tsukasa holds his hand to boost his confidence. They later decide it's better for her to pick out underwear on her own, and she leaves him when he starts to seem uncomfortable. Despite being taken aback by the clothing prices, they successfully complete their shopping trip. On their way home, a flustered Nasa musters the courage to ask if he could someday see her in cute underwear too, but they quickly drop the subject due to embarrassment. While they appreciate their stay at the bathhouse, Nasa feels that the room is a bit outdated and eagerly anticipates moving out in the future. Tsukasa takes on the task of preparing dinner and treats them to tonkatsu, a dish that Nasa adores due to his family's fondness for fried foods. He finds the pork coated in sauce absolutely delightful, and Tsukasa proudly declares herself the tonkatsu queen who creates the most delicious tonkatsu in the entire world. Nasa expresses his desire to savor her cooking for the rest of their lives together. Kanem arrives with a musk melon as a gift, and the couple is amazed by its incredibly sweet and heavenly taste. They are grateful for Kanem's kindness and make a mental note to repay her in the future. Nasa attempts to feed Tsukasa the melon, and although she initially feels a bit embarrassed, he assures her that he wants to share both enjoyable and embarrassing experiences with her. The following day, Nasa receives a call from their former landlord, who informs them about a newly constructed apartment. Kanem becomes upset at the possibility of the couple leaving, as she thoroughly enjoys their amusing antics. Due to their good relationship with the landlord, they are offered the same rent as before. When the couple visits the model home, they are taken aback by the sight of a luxurious and modern building. Hand in hand, Nasa and Tsukasa are amazed by the beautiful hallways and doors of the complex. The breathtaking views from the high-rise apartment leave them speechless. They discover a bath with a view, and Tsukasa imagines enjoying winter baths. Nasa eagerly anticipates sharing bath time with her. The couple is astonished by the spacious bed, much larger than their previous futons. However, they realize they visited the wrong model home, and their own apartment will be more modest. Nasa dreams of working hard to afford a similar place someday, but Tsukasa believes that no matter where they live, she can create a loving home and find happiness. Kanem shares her daily routine working at the bathhouse, which starts with waking up at 5:30 in the morning to clean the premises. Afterward, she attends school. When Tsukasa offers to assist her in cleaning and managing the bathhouse, Kanem initially declines, considering Tsukasa a guest. However, Tsukasa insists on helping because she feels uncomfortable benefiting from the family's kindness without contributing. Eventually, Kanem allows Tsukasa to participate, and Tsukasa realizes that Nasa's machines have automated most of the cleaning tasks due to his innovations. Kanem assigns Tsukasa to clean the challenging areas, and she is impressed by how effortlessly Tsukasa leaves the bathhouse spotless. While refilling the fire for the hot springs, Kanem expresses gratitude to Tsukasa for saving Nasa's life and admires him for his assistance to her family. Tsukasa feels happy about being able to save someone and eventually developing feelings for Nasa. Kanem goes to school, and Aya, who is spying, becomes upset about not getting enough screen time. Tsukasa inquires about Nasa's favorite food, discovering that it's not the discounted hot pot he usually enjoys for its nutritional benefits. Through previous calculations, Nasa has determined that his true favorite is curry. Excitedly, they go together to the supermarket to buy curry ingredients. On their way, they unexpectedly encounter Connie's mother, who suggests that Nasa and Tsukasa take a detour to a nearby park for some questionable activities to add excitement to their marriage. However, Nasa, being innocent and pure-hearted, continues to the supermarket with Tsukasa. As they walk home together after shopping, Nasa expresses his gratitude that they are not a high school couple, as they would have to deal with overprotective parents. Tsukasa playfully teases him for accidentally leading them to an abandoned park and wonders if he had any exciting intentions in mind. Nasa clarifies that he had only planned on kissing Tsukasa, but she hesitates due to feeling self-conscious after eating a garlic bun. This disappoints Nasa, but Tsukasa opens up about finding the park peaceful, as if they were the only ones in the world. In a surprising moment, Nasa embraces Tsukasa from behind, realizing how soft she feels. This catches Tsukasa off guard, but she admits that she enjoys the hugs. Nasa then asks if she is happy being married to him, to which Tsukasa responds that she is happy because she gets to experience and feel new things every day. The two of them share a heartfelt embrace. Chitos and her maids make a shocking discovery that Nasa and Tsukasa's apartment has burned down. They interrogate Tsukasa to find out where she is currently staying, and Chitos is horrified when Tsukasa reveals that she is living at the local playground. However, when Chitos investigates further, Tsukasa cleverly manages to escape before she can be caught. While Nasa is busy organizing and examining the old furniture in their temporary room, he comes across a takoyaki board. Inspired by this discovery, he decides to throw a party and serve the delicious octopus ball snack. He attempts to invite Aya and Kaname, but Kaneme's sister remains hesitant to be around Tsukasa due to her previous crush on Nasa. Just then, Chitos unexpectedly interrupts. Playfully, she jokes that Tsukasa lives on the floor of the bathhouse. Nasa intervenes to spare Chitos from further teasing, and they reveal that they are currently borrowing a room from the inn. As Chitos explores the bathhouse with her maids, she ends up having a fantastic time. Despite enjoying the bathhouse services, Chitos wonders why they couldn't have used her mansion, to which Tsukasa explains that Chitos doesn't have a game system. Chitos enthusiastically suggests buying all the modern gaming consoles to attract Tsukasa to her mansion, but she ends up engaging with Aya instead, who also shares a passion for games. Tsukasa decides it's a perfect opportunity to have a takoyaki party with everyone present. Aya challenges Tsukasa's cooking skills to test her worthiness as Nasa's wife, noting that young people like herself often lack culinary expertise. With the assistance of Chitos' maid, Tsukasa impressively cooks a lavish feast for the takoyaki party, receiving approval from all the guests. Even Aya realizes she can't compete with Tsukasa's cooking prowess and shifts her challenge to a game of Street Fighter. Nasa admits that he enjoys playing games like Minesweeper and Solitaire, which he considers simple and straightforward. However, Tsukasa proves to be far superior in gaming skills and swiftly defeats Nasa. Kaname, despite putting up a strong fight, also falls to Tsukasa's prowess. To raise the excitement of the party, the maids propose hosting a gaming tournament. The winner of the tournament will receive a favor from Nasa, provided that it is within his capabilities. Chitos, Aya, and Tsukasa decide to participate in the tournament. Chitos challenges Nasa to perform a naked handstand as her chosen favor, but Aya triumphs over her in their match. Chitos insists on a rematch, but Aya continues to dominate her in the game Street Fighter. Tsukasa decides to start her own match, and Chitos reveals her past of playing video games all day. However, when Tsukasa loses, she complains about being out of practice and suggests switching to the original version of Street Fighter. Since Aya is unfamiliar with the retro game, she quickly loses. Meanwhile, the rest of the party realizes they had forgotten about the tournament. Later, Aya starts getting used to the controller, and eventually, they decide to call it a tie after a double ko. The party then moves on to making and enjoying takoyaki. While Chitos watches Tsukasa happily cooking with Nasa, she begins to accept the couple despite the teasing from her maids. After the party, Nasa asks Tsukasa what she would have asked for if she had won the tournament, and she responds by kissing him. One day, while Nasa is working from home, Tsukasa tells him to take it easy and warns him about overworking. As the days go by, Tsukasa notices that Nasa's health deteriorates rapidly, and he eventually falls sick with a cold due to excessive work. In her role as his newlywed wife, Tsukasa declares that she will take care of him. However, when Nasa faints, Tsukasa realizes there isn't much she can do while he's unconscious. When he wakes up, Tsukasa asks if there's anything she can do, but Nasa appears to be fine, which disappoints her. Despite his embarrassment, Tsukasa insists on wiping him down, and although Nasa reluctantly agrees, both of them feel embarrassed, leading Tsukasa to stop before going any further. That night, Nasa apologizes for getting sick, as it's not something he usually experiences. Tsukasa reminds him of their first meeting when he ignored his injuries, showing his tendency to neglect self-care. Nasa listens to his wife's advice and they embrace as they go to sleep. Tsukasa expresses her deep concern for his well-being, and NASA promises to take better care of himself so they can enjoy attending a summer festival together. After sharing a kiss, Tsukasa advises him to take it easy since he's still recovering from his illness. The next day, Kanem encourages Tsukasa to wear a yukata for the summer festival, saying that girls look cute in them and that she has a yukata prepared for NASA based on his measurements. After getting ready, they head to the summer festival, and NASA insists on taking lots of photos of Tsukasa. When they reach the festival, Tsukasa requests traditional style takoyaki to be cooked. After enjoying their meal, they find out that Chidos and Aya are running a goldfish catching stall, and both Tsukasa and NASA decide to volunteer and support the local business. Tsukasa boasts about her skills in goldfish catching, but NASA tries his best to impress her and fails to catch anything. They then visit a nearby shrine where Tsukasa makes a wish for a happy marriage and NASA's good health. Tsukasa admits that while strangers may admire his unique efficiency, as his wife, she worries about his well-being and will always encourage him to take better care of himself. Their friends join them to watch the fireworks, and NASA confesses that he has taken many photos of Tsukasa that he treasures, even if they are a bit embarrassing. Together with their friends, the couple enjoys the summer fireworks, and NASA expresses his desire to see them together with Tsukasa every year for the rest of their lives. And that brings the video to an end. If you enjoyed watching, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Also turn on notification bell so you'll never miss out new video. See you next time, take care.